This is Brian Denzer. I'm the data manager for the Hurricane Isaac Disaster Case Management Program. In this CAN training tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to use the CAN Household tool to enter the head of household and additional members of a client household. You've just completed a new client record, very likely. In this case, our new client, Minnie Mouse, is the head of household, and we want to enter additional household members into the client record. We'll use the household tool for doing that. The household tool is perhaps the most confusing tool to use in CAN because it's such a dynamic tool. There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that you need to be very careful about and just be very observant about. To access the household tool, click the View Household hyperlink here in the upper right hand corner of the CAN display. Notice that a new tab has opened for us. The previous tab is still there. This is our primary client record, Minnie Mouse. In this new Client Household tab, this is where we establish the head of household and enter any new household members. Notice that if we look at the household record for Minnie Mouse, the relationship of Minnie to the household is self. There's a client ID listed, age, date of birth. Head of household is blank, and there's an edit button to manage the relationship. We want to establish Minnie Mouse as the head of household in this record. So what we're going to do first, before we do anything else, is edit the relationship of Minnie to the household. Click Edit. Notice here the little pop-up window has opened, and what we want to do is establish that Minnie Mouse is in fact the head of household. So click the checkbox next to head of household, and then you have to save this record. Okay, don't close the window. Save this relationship. When you click Save, notice that a couple of things are going on here. First of all, CAN closes the pop-up window. It's then running some processes, and finally you get a confirmation that says edited. The household relationship has edited. Notice as you look down here at the client record for the household that now there's a green checkbox in the head of household field for Minnie Mouse, indicating that Minnie is in fact the head of household. You can now start entering other household members. Now it's unlikely, but it may be that you have household member records that have been created already. That's unlikely, but you could search for an existing client, or in fact just type in a client ID in this client ID box. But most often you're going to be creating these new records on the fly. So we're going to create a new client record to indicate that Minnie has a son. Click the Create New Client Record button and watch what happens. See that a third tab is opening up. Here we're using Firefox. You might observe different behavior in different browsers, and depending upon the settings in those browsers. We'll see that we're getting what looks like a new client entry process, but some things have happened. Notice that the pre-disaster address is already pre-populated. Down here you'll see that the associated disaster is already pre-populated. Let's go ahead and enter in the information. We're saying that Minnie has a son named Mickey Mouse Jr. We don't need to check the address, and the reason why is because typically for the purposes of reporting, it's the head of household address and head of household basic information that's used. We do want basic information on the other household members, but address is something that we've already verified on the head of household record. We do want the gender. This is a male. We'll type in the date of birth. In this case, January 1st, 2011. Tab off the field and notice that the client age is pre-populated. You could also use the calendar tool if you like. You don't need to enter the FEMA number. We've got that on the head of household record. We don't need the post-disaster current address. We've got that on the head of household record. We will have to fill out some information in the CM Info tab, just as you would if you're creating a new client record. You'll have to do this for the other household members as well. You can go ahead and indicate that the case status is open. We're going to leave blank the case manager assignment. Okay, that's just a standard convention with the other household members, so leave that blank. We have the case manager assignment, in fact, assigned to the primary record on this household. The Minnie Mouse head of household record has a case manager assignment. The date of intake will be today, and because the release was signed by the head of household and this is a required field, you can fill that out here. There are no other required fields here, so you can go ahead and submit this household record. Watch what CAN does. Remember, we've got 3 tabs open here in Firefox. Click Submit. See that the 3rd tab has closed. There's still some things happening. Okay. Client ID copied from new client record, and in fact, see that the client ID field here now has been populated for you with the client ID for Mickey Mouse. You then simply indicate the relationship of Mickey Mouse to Minnie Mouse. In this case, Mickey is Minnie's son, and that's it. Click Save Household Member over here on the right-hand side. Notice that CAN is doing some things in the background, connecting. And when it finishes, we see that Mickey Mouse has now been added to the household as the son. Client ID is listed, age, date of birth, and we're done. Now, if we made a mistake, you could remove this client. But if you start doing that, you probably want help from a supervisor. You could also continue to add additional clients to this household, but for the purposes of this training, we're finished.